We are live. Beautiful. All right, welcome everybody to the Tennessee Holler. I'm Justin. I run the Holler. We're at the TN Holler on Twitter and Facebook. We also have hollers all across the state. Thanks to your support, we always appreciate that. For those of you who are Nick fans and don't know who we are, check us out. We're news sites across the state. We also are supported by Elisa Parker, who is a real estate broker here in Tennessee. A way to support us is to, if you know anybody buying or selling, go through her. Today we have somebody who I am a big fan of. It's a little bit of a departure for us, but I hope you'll hang in there because I want to introduce you to somebody who is really talented. He's a Tennessean. How you doing, Carlos? Good to see you, buddy. We're probably not going to argue too much today, Carlos, but I want you to meet Nick. He's a musician. And a comedy musician. What would you call yourself? A comedian?
Yeah, I guess so. It's tricky. I mean, I've been a musician and a songwriter and a producer and a performer for decades, and I kind of just started dipping my toes into musical comedy within the last few years, and instantly found some people that were interested in that. So I kind of focused my attention there for a little while. So yeah, I wear many different hats, and comedy appears to be one of them these days.
Well, I don't know if people know this about me, but my background, I used to run production and development for National Lampoon. I was in the comedy world for, 15, 20 years. And, I'm not that funny, but I know it when I see it. And Nick is wait, did I misspell your name on here? Hang on a second.
No, that's beautiful, right? Oh, you did.
I did.
Yeah, that's all right.
I blew it. I noticed it.
But look, in the
important.
corner there, it's right. So
right. So here, look.
You do know it. I know you know it.
Quickly I fixed that.
Oh, wonderful.
And then he's on here because he's going to be in Nashville June 25th at Exit Inn. So anybody who's in the Nashville area, around the Nashville area, definitely make a plan to check him out. And we're going to show you why today, because he's going to play a little bit for us and we're going to talk to him a little bit. But the bottom line is he's really funny and he's a talented dude, and he's out of Chattanooga. Where in Chattanooga are you hailing from exactly?
Red Bank, if you're familiar with it, it's like 10 minutes outside the city, the suburbs. But I grew up in the Hickson area. I went to Soddy Daisy High School.
Okay, Soddy Daisy.
Yeah, old Soddy Daisy. And then I went to Middle Tennessee State University, MTSU.
Oh, you did? I didn't even know that.
Yeah. So that was my stomping grounds for a few years.
And were you a musician that whole time? Were you doing the music thing?
Yeah. They have the recording industry major there, and I was in the commercial songwriting department. And my first year was like the first year it was an official major, because the RIM department there divides up in between audio fundamentals, music business, and commercial songwriting. And yeah, man, I loved the school. The program was in its infancy, and I think it's been developed a lot since then. It wasn't quite what I needed at that time, I don't think, but I definitely, I took a lot of other audio classes and music business classes that I really I think were detrimental to my growth as a independent artist.
Okay, so let's go ahead and give the people a taste.
Yeah.
This first one you're going to play for us, it's called Tucker Carlson.
It's called Give Me Tucker Show. It was a time when I was demanding that Tucker resign and I take over due to his incompetency. It was right around the time, I think it was March of last year, where he was talking about QAnon was this fringe thing that they don't even have a website. So how could they really be of any danger? We searched all day and we couldn't find any evidence of QAnon. And
right.
The media tries to tell you that Q the president enables these people, and he just tried to pretend like he didn't know what QAnon was, and like QAnon wasn't a real thing. So this was my response to that, and it's called "Give Me Tucker Show." Pull out your binoculars, we're hunting for the letter Q. Poor Tucker searched all day and couldn't find a single clue. 10 miles south of my own house. Damn, that wasn't hard. I'll take the guide onto the local Trump rally. I'll do my part and look back at what I see. Cameras around, take a look at the crowd. Give me Tucker Show, he doesn't know how to work a computer, or he can't admit that he's complicit to the fully batched lies. No surprise, they have real life consequences, people dying. Tucker tries to fake insurrectionists as victims. Give me Tucker Show, it's got to go. I'll make a charismatic oath. The murder charges have been dropped, and I'm not a xenophobe. I can make more than one face, and I'm not a xenophobe. Let me share a desk with Dan Bongino. I wanna be. Tucker Show, he's got to go. Jimmy Tucker Show, he's got to go. Jimmy Tucker Show, he's got to go. It's a very quick one. It makes a lot of sense with the video, of course.
It does, yeah. Well, the videos, I love the videos. Tell me a little bit about that, because clearly you have some editing and filmmaking chops. Have you put much time into that?
Yeah, I guess, I went at Saudi. They kind of had a media concepts. I was a part of like the morning announcements, and I got to like dabble with Adobe, like editing software, and got my feet wet editing video. And years later, when I started writing songs for this company, Super Deluxe, I was taking like Trump speeches and turning them into songs, and Alex Jones, like InfoWars rants, and turning those into songs. And luckily I had this very, very, very limited background with video editing, and that's kind of that's where I started. And that was 2016. So now that's 6 years later, and I've gotten a little bit better. I wouldn't say I'm like a pro or anything, but
and what is with the sweaty face element?
I think the first one I did this song, I Want to Be at the RNC.
Oh, that's right. Yes.
Yeah, and I don't know. I think, and around that time I did Boat Parade as well, and I think I was just trying. It was the heat of the 2020 election, and it seemed like everything was going to hell, and I felt like I was trying to emulate a very specific type of frantic person that is full of bad energy.
I want to play one here. This one is near and dear to my heart, because I don't know if you made it around this time, but like you might have seen that I went viral for going to the school board and like saying some like fairly reasonable stuff at a school board meeting in Tennessee. Went viral. And then you had this video about school board meetings, and it was right around the time where everybody was freaking out about school board meetings. So I want people to see a piece of this one.
Nice. But I'm still saving. I need to exercise my freedoms. I have the right to exercise my rights to exercise. I've been doing this every night, traveling the state, looking for an open mic. The people are really fun. They're really loud, they love to scream. They all kind of look and act like me. Yeah, that was a little piece of where I was that night. That was Williamson County. You just showed. Oh, nice. That's nice. Yeah, it's so good. So where do you come up with the ideas, man? Are you just like, is it always something that you're thinking about? Yeah, I mean, well, it's very reactionary, obviously. And I think when I first started making these songs on Twitter, which was, like I said, like the late summer, early fall 2020, like when I did the RNC song in particular, like that was the morning of the first day of the RNC. And it was just like everyone on my Twitter feed was talking about it. And I didn't have anything else going on that day. And I just sat down knowing I wanted to write something. And that's kind of been like the template for how I've done this moving forward. It's like, I wait until I have a moment that, or basically a day or 2 full days that I can sit down. I typically write the song, record the song, shoot the video, edit the video, and then post it. Like it's always like a 24-hour window of me working on these things, and I just try to like not second guess, go with the first instinct, and move pretty quickly through it. And that means I kind of have to do that when it's so in response to current events, I guess.
Right.
And the school board meeting thing is just, I think some of the best stuff just come from things that like are driving me nuts. And I feel like there's no like, I don't know, there's no simple phrase or any way to kind of sum up the absurdity of the situation. And that's kind of why I put my energy into these songs.
Well, you mentioned absurdity. I mean, as far as influences go, first of all, I think I saw one guy who has to be one of your influences in a recent video that you made. It had Tim Heidecker and that whole crew. These have to be, Tim and Eric have to be guys that you looked up to, right? Who else?
Yeah, dude.
Influences.
Totally. Well, I kind of owe Tim, and I don't know if you're familiar with Vic Berger.
Of course.
Yeah, Vic is. I was a huge fan of his, and he was at Super Deluxe, and both of those guys were pretty much my window into Super Deluxe because they were doing an election special where they went to the RNC and the DNC in 2016, and I sent them an unsolicited theme song that they ended up using.
That was I Want to Be at the RNC.
No, this actually predated that by a few years. This was just like it was a little silly Vic and Tim at the Republican convention. It's real short. It was like 15 seconds long, and I just tweeted at them and said, "Hey, I don't know if you need a theme song, but here you go." And It was produced by Super Deluxe, and then Super Deluxe reached out, and we kind of started the conversation about doing more. And yeah, I've done music for Tim and Eric's last tour, and Vic had a show he had in development for TBS, and I did some music for them. So really, really happy to have a good relationship with those guys. I owe them a lot, truly.
And I saw that. So you're doing Exit In, you're doing a few other shows. Well, how much more can you say about like other things that you're working on?
Yeah, man. So yeah, we started writing, or I started writing these songs and putting them out at the height of the pandemic. And I did 2 vinyl campaigns, and they're both pretty successful. And I initially saw that I'd sold the most copies of vinyl in Chicago. So we booked a show in Chicago. I've never played Chicago, or actually I did play Chicago, but it was years ago when I was by myself with an acoustic guitar, and it was at like a coffee shop, and there's maybe half a dozen people there. But it was really just looking at this data we had and seeing, can we tap into an audience here? And it was tricky trying to get like venues on board because they didn't know who I was or what I was doing. And finally had this place, Shuba's, agree to do a show, and we announced, and it sold out almost immediately. And we added a second show, and it sold out almost immediately. And then they moved us to the bigger venue. It sold out, and they added another one. So it was just this crazy, insane response.
Awesome.
And we did those shows back in April. And now we're hoping to go other places. We have Nashville, Washington, D.C., and New York City on the books. And other than that 2-night run we did in Chicago, this is our first official little string of shows. And also my drummer got COVID just days before the show in Chicago.
Oh, wow.
We had to find a Chicago drummer to fill in like on a moment's notice. It was extremely stressful. So this is really the full band experience for the first time live in a few years.
All right. Well, one thing I do want to do is I want to add our voice to the chorus of people that are screaming for Nick to get verified on Twitter. I see that News Channel 9 has taken up this very important cause. And actually, we've been trying to get verified too. It's very hard these days.
Yeah, what's going on?
When I first tried to get verified on Twitter, I had just come off The Amazing Race, which I did a long time ago. And it was like really easy. It was like, if you've done anything, they will verify you. Now I've submitted us to get verified as the Holler probably 20 times. And it's the same thing that happened to you, which there must be something automatic about rejection, because by the time I send, I'll submit it and then I'll get an email right back saying I've been rejected no matter what I try.
I know. And it's weird. Like, I don't like, obviously a big part of it is a joke and it's whatever, but like I'm meeting all of their qualifications. It's like,
me too. We are too. Like,
it's in this and this. It's like, okay, here's that, and then they immediately deny.
The biggest problem I see is like they don't tell you why they're rejecting you. So you could just be tweaking all these things. Like I went and created a whole email account, like at thetnholler.com. We were using Gmail before that. I thought maybe that's it. That wasn't it. So it seems wrong. There are newer publications that have been verified that we haven't, you know, and
we're the outcasts, man.
We're the outcasts. So Twitter, we're coming for you. I would pay, like, tell me what I have to do, because there are things about being verified. Like we have to put, all of our videos have to be under 2 minutes and 20 seconds.
Yeah.
You know, and meanwhile, Marsha and them, I see our conservative friends are on here. Like Marsha and them complain about being censored. Here you've got, you know, two pretty liberal progressive dudes, and we can't get any love either. So it's not just it's not just your friends. Before we let you out of here, let's do one more song. But I want to reiterate to people that you're going to be at Exit In June 25th. I'm going to go. My wife's going to come. We're going to have fun. I hope you guys will join us. Also, Nick's website has a bunch of his songs. He's got a lot of great videos. Very creative, funny guy. You know,
I need to update that. I'm a Webby winner now. That's old. That's old. There's Webby nominee there.
Webby Let's see the Webby. Show it to us.
Yeah, I won a Webby for Best Man on the Internet.
Best Man on the Internet?
It was the first place award for Best Webby. It says on here something about advertising and media for an Old Spice commercial I did, but I think they just didn't have enough room to put all the other things that I.
Wait a minute. Now you've got me wondering, because you've joked about a lot of stuff. Is this real?
This is a real Webby. Yeah.
Okay. This is a real Webby. There you go.
There
we go. Now we can see it. People's Voice Award. Nick, let's go. Old Spice Barbershop. What was the Old Spice Barbershop thing?
Yeah, it's a commercial. It's directed by Mike Diva. It was like a barbershop.
And did you give a speech?
No, I just sang and wrote the music. Yeah. Do you want to? Oh yeah, I would love. I can't sing that one. I don't remember how it goes, but I'll sing my Alex Jones indie folk song.
Yeah,
the most popular. I made a mistake. Everyone, if you that Tucker song is difficult to play by myself. I think check out the video. It's called "Give Me Tucker Show." It's on YouTube.
All right.
I'm gonna play this one. This one was it was me taking Alex Jones's speeches and turning them into a song. So I'd say a lot of, horribly ridiculous things in this song, but it's all his words that I've taken and turned into.
They're his actual words.
Exactly. And if you find the video, you get to see him essentially singing these words. I'm angry. I've had enough of these people. They're a bunch of Christian murderers, scum running giant death factories, keeping babies alive and selling their body parts. What more do you need to know about these people? I go out and I face these scum. They literally crawl out from under rocks. They have green-looking skin and they run around screaming they love Satan. They wanna eat babies. I have them on video. Well, Hillary's in the creepy, weird, sick stuff, man. She sleeps in the same room with that creepy, weird woman who wears a hood over her head. What the hell? The woman number one is ugly. Imagine how bad she smells, man. Told her and Obama just stink. Obama and Hillary both smell like sulfur. Literal vampire by belly goblins underground coming after us. When spirits gets close to that evil and I feel it go we'll start the self-centered crap. We don't even notice that it's rising up against us. Millions of born-in people of the very worst time. And I'm so bad. We're gonna stab your daughter at the mall. We're gonna stab your wife, your son. We're gonna stab you with a butcher knife. And the police chief is gonna say, we love our Somalis. We love our Muslims. Oh, that's so good. Oh, Oh, they're so sweet.
Yeah.
There a little bit.
There we go. There we go. That's the stuff. It took me about 3/4 of the song to finally catch up with you lyrically, but that's
Good.
some of the stuff. That's a taste of what Nick does. Nashville, come out, check him out. June 25th, I will be there to see him. Looking forward to it. And I'm also looking forward to anything this guy does because I am a fan. Nick, thanks so much. Thanks so much for being on here with us. Stay in touch. Let's bring you back on another time. If you want, you could stick around because right now I'm gonna actually talk to some of these conservatives on here and tell them why they're wrong about stuff. But I don't want to keep you to do that, so you don't have to stick around for that.
Yeah, man, I'll keep playing for a second. I'm trying to remember how my most recent song goes. I tried to get Twitter verified, they denied my request, and 120 seconds. I tried to politely invite Dan Bondino to my show, but it won't request a mess. I try to do what's right for the Gremlin franchise every day of my life, and what do I get in return? I am a persecuted man. I am a persecuted man. I am a persecuted man.
I feel this one. I feel this one.
I am a persecuted man. But everybody, where's your Webby? Who's laughing now? Where's your Webby? Steven Spielberg, where's your Webby? Marsha Blackburn, where's your Webby?
I love it. I love it. Nick, that's awesome, man.
Thank you, Justin. Appreciate you
Twitter,
having me, man.
verify Nick, verify the holler, and that way we won't be persecuted anymore. Have a good day, buddy.
Exactly. You too, man.
All right, take care. All right, so that's Nick Lutsko. And in the meantime, Gapper and Carlos, if you're still there, and I see you saying, Gapper, spin time and blind assumptions next on the holla. No, we don't do that. We do facts here. And I see you talking about gas. So here are a few facts. Here is in the Financial Times, this is Sasha Mackler, the executive director of the energy program, saying there is truthfully not much any president can do to influence gas prices in real time. And then he says that investor demands are being heated over those of the White House. And there's even a poll here that shows that investor pressure are why gas companies are not lowering their prices. So while you guys kick and scream about blaming Biden for these gas prices, the truth is gas prices are a global issue. They're up all over the world. It's a supply and demand issue, but also it's a corporate price gouging issue as corporate profits have increased threefold. They're making billions upon billions of dollars with no need to lower those costs because we haven't forced them to. And there was a bill to fight price gouging at the pump. All the Republicans voted against it. The Democrats voted for it. So while Republicans blame Biden, they're not actually trying to fix this problem because they like this problem. They like this problem. They like I don't care if you trade markets for a living. What does that even mean? You trade markets for a living. I just read you a quote from the Bipartisan Energy Center explaining that there's not much he can do. And also on top of that, Biden has tried to get them to increase production and they're not doing it because they're more interested in higher prices and profits. And I'm not blaming it on Putin. I didn't say a word about Putin. Obviously, the war has something to do with it. So that, I mean, it's not just blaming it. You ask anybody who actually knows anything about anything, and then yes, corporations are raising prices, but your heads are so full of Fox News and blame Biden talking points that you won't even let in reality. So it's hard to talk to you guys sometimes because I'm like sharing facts with you that you don't care about. So this isn't really a conversation. You're just on here to troll and blame Biden because that's where you get all your news from. And then you call what I'm doing spin, but it's actually not. Is inflation bad? Yes, it's bad. I'm not saying it's not bad. Are high prices bad and hurting people? Yes, of course. But let's talk about the reason for it. It's not because, people got $1,200 a year ago. It's because corporations are raising their prices. It's a supply issue, and it's a corporate price issue. And what I would love for you to do is write in these comments one thing that a Republican is saying we should do about it. But you can't, because they're not interested in coming up with solutions. Build Back Better was deflationary. It was about putting money in people's pockets and lowering costs for people, and they voted against it. They voted against all of it. They voted against helping people with healthcare. They voted against helping people with daycare for their kids. They voted against raising wages. Everything that's actually going to help people with these inflationary pressures, Republicans are against. And I wasn't a Biden supporter in the primary. Like, I don't think he's perfect. There are things I disagree with him on. I wish he'd be doing more on a lot of things. But the idea that you're going to sit here and blame Biden for everything, it just shows that you're not actually interested in the facts. And no, that is not a huge solution to finish the oil pipeline. Finishing the oil pipeline won't change anything for years. Again, something they put in your head that isn't true. And you didn't say a word about ours helping. They're not. Okay. Gapper, maybe you're just blame everybody. That's maybe, I guess, a little bit more valid. Ours absolutely want Biden to take a hit on this. Yes, they do. And you've got Marsha Blackburn out there saying, that Democrats want prices high. I mean, talk about idiocy. Of course, Democrats don't want prices high. But do Democrats want to get us off of oil and into clean energy? And, is there going to be some pain along the way? Yes, of course. But that puts us in a better situation down the line. Are we there yet? No, we're not there yet. But will that put us in a better situation down the line when things like Russia happen and when the Saudis try to pressure us so that we're not, at their mercy? Of course it will. And is that the future? Of course it is. Are things difficult? Yes. Like look at right now what's going on with the stock market. You talk about trading for a living and the markets. Like, the market had to come down. It had doubled in a year. It had to come down. And so what is Biden not doing? He's not throwing money at the problem. No, this is not true, Carlos. This is not true. We have never been energy independent. Okay. And so, yes, markets had to come down, and Biden as an adult is not valuing himself on the stock market. And so they're not going to do the wrong thing, which is to just pump money into the situation, and so there are adults in the room, and yes, we're going to go through some pain. And how bad is it going to get? I don't know. How do we know this dude is lying? His lips are moving. I'm giving you evidence, Nate, and I think I've seen you before. I'm giving you links and evidence and quotes from people who know a lot more than you do, buddy. And so, the question is, do you want to let it in? I'm assuming that all the people on here arguing with me also didn't watch the hearings yesterday, which showed you Trump's own people telling you that he is a huge liar and that the election was not stolen and that it's all been a lie and that he took all your money that you sent him for the big lie to fight election theft and he put it in his pocket, $250 million. That's his own attorney general telling you that. That's his own campaign manager telling you that. His own lawyers telling you that. But you probably didn't watch any of that, right? Because you don't really want the truth. That's the issue. You don't really want the truth. And, if you're going to come on here, I'm going to tell you things that you probably don't want to hear, Nate. I'm sorry about that. I appreciate that you're tuning in, and hopefully, you'll hear something, anything that maybe will penetrate, into what you're thinking about. This was Barr. This is what he had to say about Detroit and the election theft. He said, did anyone point out, this is what he said to Trump. He says he told Trump, did anyone point out to you, you actually did better in Detroit than you did last time? He says, I told him stuff about fraud. The stuff about fraud his people were shoveling out to the public was bullshit. That's Trump's attorney general. So are any of you guys going to let that in? Or I don't know for sure if all I see commenting right now are people who disagree with me on stuff. So tell me, the four of you that are on here, do you guys believe the election was stolen? Let me know. Put it in the comments. Because if you do and you didn't watch what happened yesterday, you just don't want the truth. And it's sad because Trump didn't want the truth. And here's another one, because I think one of you was talking to me about 2000 Mules, that Dinesh D'Souza movie. Barr laughed at that yesterday. And he told Trump that if he believes that stuff, he's detached from reality. Those are Barr's words. That's good that Gapper has never sent Trump money. That's good. That's good to hear. The solution to all Biden bad news: televise the insurgency. Okay, what does that even mean? That they shouldn't have showed the people attacking the Capitol with heads full of lies that Trump told them? They shouldn't show the hearings so that we actually debunk the big lie? There's bad news out there. There's also good news out there that you're not hearing about. Unemployment's low. GDP is up. The economy in a lot of ways is doing pretty well. But yes, prices are higher. You don't want to blame corporations for that? I'm not sure what to tell you. Holler, I feel sorry for you. It's like banging your head against the wall. Sometimes it definitely is banging my head against the wall. But I do it every single day, and we do it because we believe deep down that, the truth matters and that it will set us free and carry us through. And we have to keep yelling it. That's why our slogan is always yell the truth, because it's really important to do that. A couple other things that came out yesterday. Trump's advisor, Jason Miller, said Giuliani was drunk when he encouraged Trump to say that they won the election on election night. Barr also said that the election theft claims were, quote unquote, not meritorious, were his words. And now we've learned that the panelists say that Trump can be indicted and charged. And that's actually something that Rep. Cohen told me. I don't know if you watched our interview, but that Trump might be charged. Do you guys think Trump will be charged? What do you think would happen if Trump was charged? I think he probably should be. I don't know if he will be. And frankly, I'm nervous about what would happen if he was. No, it's not, man. The unemployment numbers are the only good thing, but they were 3.6% back in October. So that's still low, dude. That's still low. And layoffs will snowball, maybe. But I'm not sure what to tell you. There are things that we're not. The point is that there are positives in the economy that we're not hearing about. And yes, the stock market is down, but maybe it had to come down. I mean, you guys are market guys. The stock market can't go up forever. There's a lot of people who make a lot of money with technical analysis that knew this was coming down because it just had to come down, because it's human behavior. The market is basically a psychology experiment, almost with nothing to do with the underlying companies. The companies themselves haven't changed, really. They're the same companies they were when the thing was flying. But now things have changed a little because they had to, because they just do over time. Anybody who even pays a little attention to the market knows that. So, you can blame Biden for that if you want. I think on another level, you should be giving him credit for not turning on the money. What do you call it? The money printer, money printer, go Burr. Wasn't there a whole thing about that? Stock market is random. Nobody knows what the future holds. That's not true. I mean, it's true on one level, but it's also not true on another level, Carlos. It is not random. There are people who can tell you what's going to happen to some extent with the market, and it responds and it sees into the future. And it's actually quite fascinating if you put some time into it. Fed money printer. Exactly. Gapper, you understand. And what you also understand, I think, if you're a market guy, is that Biden is going to show restraint by not just pumping money into it because he sees it coming down, because he ties his whole presidency to the market. And this is on some level an adult thing to do, which we know Trump is not. So, I think on some level we're in good hands in that way. And are there other things that we should be doing? Yes, there are things we should be doing. We think we probably disagree on what the solutions are. I think we're stronger when we have less inequality. I can tell you within 50% accuracy while the market would go up or down. Don, I almost bought that for a second, but then I laughed because I realized what you were saying. Anyway, to me, the bottom line for where we're at is I'm nervous for what the future holds. Very glad Trump is not president. Hope he goes away forever. Think he should probably be locked up. I worry what will happen if he is. I am, a little bit hopeful about this gun deal that apparently has happened. Although I'm sure it will be disappointing on a lot of levels. I know it doesn't include banning AR-15s. I know it doesn't include lowering the age, but the fact that any kind of deal can be reached, I think, is a positive. And I thought this from Chris Murphy on the Daily today was valid in my eyes. He says, if we pass this bill, we'll show Republicans who support it will actually get more support than they lose, and it'll puncture a hole in the mythology. In other words, a lot of the reason that we haven't moved forward on guns is because Republicans think that if they vote for anything, that they'll get voted out and lose support. And so Senator Chris Murphy is essentially saying, if we just do something, even if it's in a lot of ways disappointing, and it shows these Republicans that it doesn't mean the end of their careers if they support it, that maybe that will be a stepping stone to better bills down the line. Now, that requires faith in our system and our Senate, which I don't really have, and I'm sure you don't either. But I do think that, a few of these things seem like positive steps, like money for states to implement red flag laws, which, to bring it back to Tennessee, we saw that money that acted as an incentive for us to expand Medicaid, we reject it every year, billions of dollars. So, will an incentive, a red flag law incentive, incentivize Tennessee and Governor Lee to implement one here? I seriously doubt it. But I do think it's a good thing to do for this, first of all, for the states that will do it. And second of all, so that we can point to it as an example of how little Governor Lee actually cares about gun violence in our state and people dying. So I think it is an important thing to do. The other knock on this bill is about the money for school police, which sounds like a good idea, more school police. And, logically speaking, I can see how that would seem like something to do. But John Oliver, who I think is a genius, had a really good segment last week about how school police do not do what we think they do. In other words, they hardly ever stop school shootings. Can barely find an instance where that's happened. But what they do is they become like the head of discipline for the schools, so that teachers will just, and the school itself will just refer kids to the police when something bad happens. And there was something like 54,000 kids arrested in one year last year. Maybe the year before. I'm not sure when exactly, but 54,000 was the number. And obviously when that happens, that's mostly black or disproportionately black kids and kids with disabilities and minorities in general. And so people who are seeing this as an issue are worried about this bill, because basically it's just funding school police as a part of it. And I think that's a valid worry, especially if you go watch John Oliver's piece from last week. He did the whole show on it. It was 26 minutes long. He used numbers, he showed facts, and it's also quite entertaining. It's in our email this week. So if you guys aren't signed up for our emails, tnholler.com, and we send them out twice a week with all the videos and links from the week. check them out, please. Gapper, yes, I'm listening to you. Before I leave, I will listen, but I think it's important to hear about that. And then did you hear the 10-year-old taken out of his house in handcuffs? I'm not sure specifically what you're talking about, but yeah, I've seen a lot of instances of it. How come police are armed? Teachers protect the school playgrounds. I mean, right. Like, that's the thing, even if they're protecting a school, like, you can't protect everywhere kids are. You can't protect everywhere we all go. So it's not really the answer, and just logically speaking, if you look at how these shooters generally have like just bought their gun and they're younger, raising the age, wait periods, background checks, red flag laws, and bans on AR-15s. Like, you want to talk about things that would actually have impacted the things that have already happened. It's those things. It's those things. And Carlos, who, is not a progressive or, from what I can tell, says death penalty or life sentence for anyone who uses a gun in a crime, problem solved. I mean, I don't think that's necessarily a solution, because that seems like that can go wrong in a lot of ways. But, I do think that strong punishments, and getting heavy with gun violence and domestic violence. I was talking to a Republican legislator at the Capitol last week, and he said that it's hard to keep guns out of the hands of domestic abusers. I mean, that is a pretty obvious link between gun violence, guns, domestic abusers. Like, I don't understand who could be against doing something about guns ending up in the hands of domestic abusers. So I think that's something that actually we should do. And then Gapper says, I'm reading this as we go. Last week you said I was wrong and just repeating talking points about AR-15s not being used, but our military. Okay, look, I'm not a gun expert. I'm not claiming to be a gun expert. What I do know is there are people in the military saying we need to ban these weapons. Actual veterans, rifle instructors, people. So if there's a technicality here about the AR-15 not being the specific model being used by our military, but it is weapons like that, fine. I'm not trying to get into the nitty gritties with you about that. But, I do know that there are weapons being sold to people that don't need to be in their hands, that AR-15s have clearly been the weapon of choice for these mass killers, that they're being marketed to kids by these companies. If we can't market alcohol and cigarettes to kids, why can we picture children in ads with these weapons? How does that make sense? Clearly they're trying to create this relationship between kids and these guns that will last their whole lives and get them early. But that seems very clearly wrong and something that we should ban. These are facts that are important. Okay, look, again, not claiming to be a gun expert in any way. So if you've got me on a technicality here, that's fine. Okay. But clearly these are guns that shouldn't be in people's hands. Death penalty or life sentence for domestic violence offenders. I mean, look, like, you want to, get heavier with the punishments for stuff. I see what you're saying. I see what you're going at there. Again, these all seem to impact, minorities most. And, that doesn't seem very pro-life to like want to put people to death, for all of these things. Rural kids keep their families fed by hunting. I mean, okay, like, do it with a rifle, do it with something. By the way, if you want to talk about that, like, that's been true since way before AR-15s existed, and they were still able to hunt. So, if you need an AR-15 to hunt, you're probably not very good at it, frankly. There's no real reason people should be buying these guns. Kids are dying. Let's do something about it, is the bottom line. And I just want to close by shouting out everybody who marched in the marches across Tennessee this week. A lot of different marches happened, and they were powerful, and we see you, and showing up matters. And just to give a little taste of it, This is from Channel 4. This was one of the chants that was going on, and I found it to be pretty powerful.
Vote them out! 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 Vote them out!
If at this point you're not willing to vote to do something about gun violence, you don't belong in office. And it'll be really interesting to see how Marsha and Haggerty come down on this bipartisan bill that will really not do much about guns. I mean, it'll do something about guns, but it'll at least be doing something. And to Chris Murphy's point, I think one of the reasons that I come down on the side of supporting doing something here is that I think it's important for these families, not just Uvalde, but Buffalo, Sandy Hook, all the way back to Columbine, that we do something so that all of this death was not in vain. And I think that is as good a reason to pass something as anything. And then just as a last thing, and I don't have it here with me, but I think it's also something that we pointed out this week. And I don't say this lightly, but I do say it because I think it's important to say, and so that you understand the context. Governor Lee's daughter tried to kill herself with a gun. And that happens a lot more when guns are around, with access to weapons. And so I find it truly chilling, frankly, that he is still so callous about this issue, despite it having touched his life in such a personal way. And so I implore Governor Lee to reconsider his position on this, and to think long and hard before they push what's coming, which I think my money would be on that they're going to try to arm teachers, that will be Tennessee's solution to this. And the reason I say that is because I've already talked to Tennessee teachers who have said that if we go that route of arming teachers, they will quit. And it will be the final straw for them. And so, to me, Governor Lee and their attitude towards public schools, they're going to see that as a feature, not a bug, of arming teachers. And they're going to want to do it because of that, because they are enemies of public schools anyway. So, until we wake up and realize that these guys are enemies of public schools, that they're not pro-life, that they don't actually care about their constituents, and replace them, this stuff is going to keep happening. And as Christine says, all the good ones will quit. Right. That's what's coming. Carlos, I'm not going to even put up your comment on here. I tried to kill myself by not eating ban that. It's not something to make light about. And it just tells me that you're not coming at this in a serious way. It makes me want to stop communicating with you when you come on here, frankly. It's not funny. None of this is funny. This is all very serious. And so with that, I leave you. I hope you all have a great day.